Good morning, Black Love. Um, so today I want to talk to you all about protecting Black women and why we as Black men, can stand to do a better job at, you know, protecting these divine equals that we call women. Now, ultimately, a lot of us as men have been, socialized to believe that protection is simply economical or physical, and for us, that is a wild disservice to what protection actually is. Now, if we're looking at this from the perspective of the paradigm of protection, it ultimately boils down to four facets: economic, physical, spiritual, and mental. Right, and there are some people who would say that there are more facets, but those are the ones that I want to focus on primarily. Now, for most of us, economical and physical are things that come to us naturally, or rather, they're things that are taught to us so efficiently that they come naturally. But us as men, we tend to fall or falter when it comes down to things such as spiritual and emotional or mental. And the reason being is because we do not take enough time to recognize what we call the divine feminine, and that recognition of the entirety, that recognition of the balance, that recognizing of the whole allows us to see different facets of what protection looks like. So if you listen to what a lot of women say, especially as it relates to police brutality, as it relates to sexual brutality, as it relates to all of these different measures that specifically pinpoint the intersection of blackness and women, whether they be queer or cis, it becomes this almost tug of war as it relates to who's protecting whom and how they're protecting the other person. So if we really want to delve into this conversation, we have to look at it from a perspective of what we as men both contribute and remove from this dynamic of brutality, right? And I know a lot of Black men, we get real antsy when that, when that conversation comes around. But the reality of the situation is we contribute to some of that fear. We contribute to some of that, some of that anger. We contribute to that narrative in a way where, the biggest example that is usually used is if a woman says she's sexually assaulted, and if turns out it's one of your people, how do you respond to that? What do you do? Do you try to dissuade the woman from speaking out against this man because of his accolades? Do you try to minimize what it is that she experienced? All of those things are examples of both not protecting the physical, but also the emotional and the spiritual. If we are supposed to be places of lodging for each other during this period of time of revolution, what does our house look like, Black men? Have we developed a space for Black women that is caring, that is essential, that is giving, that is yielding to her problems? Or have we developed a space that is barren, that only has the bare minimum, that only has the essentials for what it is that she needs as it relates to protection? Now, that's just one example. Another example can be physical protection. So, for example, the example of Oluwatoyin Salu, right? She was a 19-year-old Black woman in Tallahassee, Florida, who was killed alongside another social activist by a Black man, and Oluwatoyin was seeking refuge from being sexually assaulted. Now, for me, that story hurt me deeply because she was killed by a Black man, right? She was in a space where she was looking for not only just physical protection, but spiritual protection, because she was saying that the person who assaulted her presented themselves in such a way where they were in, the spirit of God. So for me, that's very damaging, and it's extremely damaging because you're taking something of creation, you're taking something of divinity, and when I say that, I mean the embodiment of spirit, or the embodiment of God, and you're utilizing that to prey on women who are looking for refuge, or you use that to prey on women who are looking to be not necessarily rescued, but just to be heard and to be recognized and to be given safety. And it's unfair. It's unfair for Black women to be in a space where they feel that they're not even protected by their own men, which for us makes us look like bad protectors. Like I can't, I can't cut that any other way. Like it makes us look bad, right? Now, am I saying this happens with all Black men? Absolutely not. But if we're going to use the same logic as if it's 10 bad people and then one good person and the one good person doesn't speak up, there are 11 bad people. That's the logic that we have to utilize in this situation, because we are not doing enough to make significant changes in our system of engagement with these women to the point where they can verbalize that they feel safe, right? When I was in college, I went to an HBCU. Most of my friends, a significant number of my friends who were women, had revealed to me that they had been sexually assaulted. And I was genuinely shocked at the numbers, right? I was genuinely shocked because I could count on my hands how many women I was introduced to, or how many women introduced themselves to me in my first semester. But I could count on that same hand with a significant amount of fingers how many of them were sexually assaulted. So that in and of itself is very telling. That in and of itself is evident and has evidence of us not being the best protectors that we can be, right? So a lot of people talk about the problem. What is the solution to this issue? How can we do better as Black men to provide this space for Black women? Well, listen, right? The first thing that we can really do is listen. The first thing that we can do is give them space to speak on what it is that's happening to them, and to not try to censor, to not try to belittle, to not try to demean, but simply to listen, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is hold your partners accountable. Like, we can't be out here kicking it with rapists and fucking sexual abusers, dog. Like, that's not the wave. At least that's not the wave moving forward. It can't be the wave moving forward, right? There's a saying that says you can't be a part of the revolution if you aren't pro-Black women. And I firmly believe that. And even me, myself, there are some places that I do know that I need to grow. At the same time, I would be doing a disservice if I did not take the time to speak on how it is that we can do better as men, right? So the second thing that we can do is we can provide a space of calmness and serenity for women who are clearly coming to us trouble, right? So I remember one time when I was a shorty, like, my mama came into the kitchen and the kitchen was a mess, right? At this time, she was working 23-hour days, you know what I'm saying? My father wasn't in the job. It was me and my sister, you know what I'm saying? We were teenagers at the time. And she came in and she had a fit. And she was like, I don't ask y'all for nothing. The biggest thing that I ask for y'all to do, or the only thing that I need, is my kitchen to be clean, right? And as a young boy, I recognized that yes, one, it was about the kitchen being clean, but also two, it was about recognizing the effort and the time that my mother put into trying to make sure that our family remained a family, right? So from that point moving forward, I always tried to make sure that one, the kitchen was clean when my mother came home, but also two, I made it a point, a significant point, to ask her how her day was every single day. And I took the time to listen, right? Fellas, we have to learn how to tap into that divine feminine, to understand how to be more communicative, how to be more endearing, how to be more emotionally available, and how to be more emotionally intelligent. Otherwise, there's going to be a continuing battle internally with Black people as it relates to the way that we even engage with ourselves based upon the lines of gender, right? Y'all, Black men, we gotta do better, man. We gotta do better. But that's all I got for today. Black love, I love y'all. Peace, love, soul. Butter Rose. I'll see y'all next time.